Alright, welcome back. This time around, we got another AIP movie. Last time we did the Dunwich Horror. It was alright. We got another AIP movie here. This one's called Scream and Scream Again. This one features Vincent Price and Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. We've got all three of these guys, and it is directed by Gordon Hessler. And this is Gordon Hessler's fourth movie. His third movie also featured Vincent Price and Christopher Lee. That was The Oblong Box. That's an Edgar Allan Poe story. AIP loves Edgar Allan Poe stories. So even though AIP stands for American International Pictures, this is a British movie. I guess the emphasis on the international there. Filmed in London. Actually starts off with a guy running right in front of a double-decker bus, so you know it's in London. So this is a weird movie. First of all, the promotion for the movie is very misleading, okay? This poster is great. It's got someone dissolving in acid. It says triple distilled horror, as powerful as a vat of boiling acid. And we got these three big names. Now, none of these three guys are the main characters. Vincent Price is in it a fair amount. Christopher Lee is really not in it a fair amount. And Peter Cushing's in it for like 1 minute. So that's kind of stupid. I feel like it's unfair because I think it's Alfred Marks is the actual protagonist. He's not really a horror actor. He was in 1 or 2 horror movies. But he does a very good job in this. He's a police detective. Okay, so what's going on here? Here's the story. Actually, the story is very hard to follow. In fact, before I even talk about the story, I'm going to say this. I sat down to watch this movie, and the beginning is so boring that I just I don't know. I decided to close my eyes for a minute. I ended up waking up in like the last 15 minutes of the movie, which of course by that point didn't make any sense. And so I went to bed, got up the next day, read about the movie, and I was trying to get motivated to go back and give this movie a fair shake. So I read the description that the centerpiece of the movie is a 15-minute chase scene in the middle of the movie. And you can hear the music. It does sound like chase music, okay? Considering how boring the beginning and the end were, and considering that it's supposed to be a horror movie, I was surprised to hear that there was a 15-minute chase scene in the middle. So I decided, okay, I'm going to watch the chase scene, see how that goes. I watched the chase scene. I gotta say, the chase scene was awesome. It was couldn't really have been any better. So then I went back, and I'm like, I don't know why they're chasing this guy, okay? The guy being chased is not any of these three big-name actors. And the guy chasing him is Alfred Marks. So I'm confused because none of the people who I was expecting to see in the movie are involved in the chase scene at all. So I go back to see why he's chasing him, all right? Now I'm going to talk about the plot points, so if you want to save it, pause it now. But here's what's going on. At the very beginning, this guy's running in front of a double-decker bus. He falls. I don't know, he has like a stroke or a heart attack or something like that. Wakes up in the hospital. One of his legs has been amputated. Wow. Okay, that was kind of cool. All right. Then we're in some unnamed communist country. Okay, now this movie came out during the Cold War, of course, 1970. It's not the Soviet Union. It's some other country with like a fake communist symbol armband wrapped around a guy's arm. I don't know what they're talking about, okay? It's very hard to follow. Then it goes where Vincent Price is some kind of scientist. He's doing some experiments. Then it goes and we got Alfred Marks, and he's a detective, and finds out young women are being sexually assaulted and then killed So, Alfred Marks decides he's gonna try and figure out who's killing these women. Whatever, don't worry about this guy with the amputated leg. Don't worry about Vincent Price, the scientist. Don't worry about some Eastern European people. Haven't seen Christopher Lee yet. Haven't seen Peter Cushing yet. So, they get a tip that some guy is picking women up at this club, and he is taking them out, and then he's abusing them. So, the police get this girl to put a bug in her shoe, and she goes to the club dancing, and the guy picks her up. Meanwhile, we get a little flash to Soviet whatever, and Peter Cushing's there. Let's take a look at Peter Cushing again. Peter Cushing is there. See, here is this weirdo symbol, whatever that means, okay? Peter Cushing is here, and he's talking about whatever, and then this guy comes and just puts his hand on his shoulder, and he dies. Yeah, I could be wrong, but I don't think the whole shoulder touch of death thing is ever explained in this movie. So anyway, we go back to the guy who is with the girl with the bugged shoe. They go out to his car. They're making out in the car. And then somehow, for some reason, it goes to the police who are listening to the bug, and then all of a sudden it sounds like there's some kind of problem. Someone's getting abused. They gotta go save her. And what is happening? This guy is sucking the girl's blood out of her wrist. All right, now it's starting to get interesting. So then they start chasing him. He gets in a car. Great car chase. I certainly don't need to go through all the twists and turns of the car chase. They end up getting to the point where he has to get out of the car. He's running through some abandoned building, and then he goes up and he's cornered. And this is my favorite part of the movie. He's cornered against a sheer rock sliding cliff mountain. He starts walking up the rocks, and I don't know about you, where you live, but like sometimes when you're driving on the highway, you see these like really steep areas on the side of the highway, and there's like all these rocks. I used to think oh, it'd be fun to climb up there, but really it wouldn't be fun, because if you fell down, you'd be like shredded on these rocks. Anyway, it's like that, only bigger. So the guy's being chased, starts climbing up the rocks, and the police, of course, this is England, so the police don't have any guns, so they're just like waiting for him to come down and like telling him he has nowhere else to go, but he keeps going up and up and up and up, and then he gets to this point where it's basically vertical, and they're yelling at him to come down, and he decides to climb it. The way the camera pans out, and you can see the whole rock face, okay? It's really cool, and he's climbing up, and the guy's like really small, and then it like cuts real quick, and he loses his grip, and then it cuts back out, and it's probably a mannequin or whatever, but it does look pretty real. I was impressed, especially for 1970, and he falls down the whole mountain. The way they built up the intensity was very good, because when he falls down the mountain, it looks like he's just being broken on all these rocks. Then he gets down at the bottom. Everyone thinks he's dead, but he's not dead. They grab him, he's breathing, he's moaning, so they cuff him to the back of a car. I don't know if this is like normal for the time period or for England or whatever, but they like have a part of the bumper in the car, and they cuff him to the bumper. So anyway, they're talking about what they're gonna do. Turns out one of the police died in the car chase. People are sad. All of a sudden, the guy wakes up, and he escapes. And so then they gotta chase him some more. So then they're like, oh, how did he escape? Like, how did he snap through steel handcuffs? They look, and his hand is dangling from the handcuff, because he just ripped his own hand off so that he could get back into a chase. The chase ends where he jumps into a vat of acid, killing himself. And then everyone's like, okay, first off, how did he know there was a vat of acid there? Second of all, why did he just kill himself? Like, what's going on? So anyway, then the rest of the movie basically makes no sense. It's all sorts of weird mishmash, whatever, and then like Christopher Lee is in it, and he's like some kind of like high up officer, And the guy who touched Peter Cushing's shoulder and killed him eventually comes in and touches Alfred Marks on the shoulder, and he dies. And it's weird because you lose your protagonist then, and there's still like 25-30 minutes left of the movie, and the main character is dead. So then all of a sudden Christopher Lee becomes like the new detective or the new protagonist. He starts talking secret deals with some communist guy, and they just figure whatever out. And then and then all of a sudden Vincent Price re-enters the movie. And as it turns out, the shocking surprise ending is that Vincent Price is actually a scientist hired by the government to make a super race of people by basically playing Frankenstein, amputating parts of people, which you totally forgot about the guy at the beginning of the movie who had his leg amputated by this point. He amputates parts, he puts them together in a Frankenstein-like fashion, except when he puts them together, it just looks like a normal person. There's no stitches, there's no mismatched anything. The person comes to life and is just a regular person. The only thing is the first person they tried this with was the guy they were chasing, and for whatever reason he likes sucking people's blood. That's like a mistake. So they're trying to make a super race of people that are normal people, just stronger, which is why he didn't die when he fell off the cliff. So, this other guy who didn't seem to play much of a role earlier basically comes in and tries to save a woman who they're about to take the brain out of. He tries to save her, and what happens is there's like a fight, and then this like weird mannequin Frankenstein's monster type naked woman ends up getting put in a vat of acid, and then somebody else gets put in a vat of acid, and then Christopher Lee comes in and tells Vincent Price, like, okay, this has gotten out of hand, we just got to end it. And Vincent Price is like, no, we can't end it, I am one of them. Okay, that's like supposed to be a surprise. And then through a completely unexplained force, Christopher Lee looks at Vincent Price, and Vincent Price then is compelled to back up and slowly step into a vat of acid and kill himself. Now, it's really kind of annoying because none of the people that go into acid ever turn into skeletons. Other than the guy ripping his hand off, which was sick, there's like no blood in this movie. There's no skeletons in this movie. You don't get to see like the amputated parts or anything like that. It's like really, really tame. I mean, it was rated PG, so I guess there's that. I mean, since it was rated PG, seeing somebody's hand get ripped off is kind of cool. But these people are just getting into these vats of acid, and they don't even like scream when they get in there. It's like really anticlimactic. So all in all, I'm going to say this one gets a 6 out of 10 because the car chase I think it was like 25 minutes of this craziness where this guy's getting chased. And that was excellent cinema. It was great, okay? All the rest of it was whatever. Really disappointing because the best part of the movie didn't have the best actors in it. And the good actors are just there to like pad it out. I'm sure a lot of people went to this movie and became very disappointed not seeing these three main actors who have their names highest up on the poster, especially Peter Cushing, who like is barely even in it. So it's disappointing. The beginning sucks. The end sucks a little bit less. And the middle is great. So all in all, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. AIP made, I think, one more movie in 1970 called Cry of the Banshee. And I'm a little apprehensive to watch that, but of course I'm going to. But I don't have high hopes for it considering the other two AIP movies were pretty disappointing. So that's it for this one. See you next time.